Okay guys, we've got a 10-minute game on the board against an opponent rated about 650. So we've got d4, I'm going to play d5, see what happens. Probably get a London, okay. So against this, I'm going to play like a King's Indian. Okay, all normal moves coming out now. Expecting a knight to come out, or this pawn. Yeah, there we go. That's castle. White does have good pressure against this square on e5. Okay. I think c5 is generally a good move. It's undefended, so I'm inviting white to take it. Alright, he's decided not to. Let's push on. Is c4 a good move? Yeah, that means the bishop has to retreat. Probably come back here. Also got a pin on the knight. My knight can develop pretty well. Also I've got knight here. If the bishop wants to trade itself off. Okay, I think that's not... I don't know. I think he was better off keeping his bishop in line with my king side, but then I do have a light squared triangle there. Now I actually have that square for my knight. He's a couple of moves away from getting his knight on there, but he can't do it because it's guarded by my pawn. So how about bringing my bishop out here, defending that square? He's not going to push because I simply take. Okay, I'll just reply to that with b5, so if he wants to take, I'll recapture and keep his bishop trapped in. He's starting to look a little cramped. Okay, so he has brought his knight in there. Now let's propose a trade then. Does he want to come here? Well, he can't go there or there now, so I'm going to advance my knight. Could capture the bishop, but I don't really want to because that would put his bishop on here and I'm weak on the dark squares, so not great that. I do have g5. Alright, now let's recapture with a b pawn. Again, knight can't come in. I do have f6 if I want to kick the knight away, but that compromises my dark squared bishop a little. Having said that, we've got a pawn chain there, so maybe my bishop does want to move. Right, so he's coming in for my knight, that's not a bad thing. Or if bishop takes f6, the bishop will have to retreat. That is his better bishop. Okay, I'm going to do that. If pawn takes, different story. Now I can push my pawns up. Okay, so pawn takes. And now, presently my knight's guarding this square. That's actually hanging. I'm going to grab that. It comes with an attack on the queen and the bishop, so the queen must go here to defend the bishop, otherwise I capture the bishop and I have a fork on king and bishop as well. So this is, I think, is forced. There's no checks. He's taking his time. There you go. Alright, now I don't want to take this bishop out. It's not a good bishop. I've got several light squared pawns. I'm quite happy. I think this knight should come into the game now. So knight c6, maybe this idea. Okay, he's got 7.5 minutes, so I'm down to nearly 7. Right, he's attacking my knight. Let's move the knight back. Oh, he's dropped another pawn. Free stuff, let's have it. I can always come back here, defended by that knight. Now I'm attacking the rook. The rook has to move. Can't go there or there. Or there or there because of the bishop. So he's only got that and that. I think he's going to go here. In which case I can come back there if I want, and even come back here. It's playing well for 600s though. I can even advance my knight. Right, that's just a blunder because he's just dropped his rook for a bishop. So queen takes, and now again, I think I have this. Hit queen and bishop, so the queen again will have to retreat. Don't think the queen's got any good attacks. Can't come here or here or here or here or here. That's possible. So the queen has to come back to that. Ooh. Right, now I have an in-between move, right? My rook's under attack. So I say, oh no, my rook, and I grab a free bishop. Now the king must move. In fact, I was also attacking the queen. I was attacking the queen. I missed the queen capture. What am I like? What am I like? Right, so. Now this is forcing because it attacks the queen, but then the queen can, for example, move here and attack my knight again. And then I have to decide whether to save my rook or my knight, so I'm going to have to save my rook. Having said that, the knight is not under attack right now, so saving the rook is the right move. This is a hanging pawn. That's undefended, that's undefended. I've rook b8 if I want it. My knight actually has no really safe squares. I mean, this is possible, but it's an undefended square. Okay, so I'm going to now save my knight with an attack on the queen, and then I can come back here if I want, or that's the safest square, isn't it? Okay, what are you doing that for? What's the idea there? You're attacking this. This knight is actually undefended. So should I just grab a pawn? I think I can grab the pawn. Now both knights are undefended. This is my defensive structure. These are all defended, defended, defended. Okay. So I really do recommend using this goldfish method. Whenever you have time, just highlight everything, highlight all the defensive relationships. Then you can spot things that are, for example, only defended once, like this pawn is only defended once. Right, you're not really attacking anything there, are you? And I'm up significant material. I'd like to get rid of this bishop. It's a bit of a pain. So that's one idea, attacking the bishop. Not too worried about this knight, can always come there. It's defended now by 2 pawns. Don't think the queen can attack this knight, and he's only got 1 rook. So one of my rook and 3 pawns in front. Okay, rook's attacked it, so I can come back here. Knight takes, I think I'll take with the d pawn, giving myself this option. Oh, it's a trade knights. Well, no, it's not even a trade. You just hung your knight. The 600’s is showing now. I now have this as well. Okay, so that's an attack on my knight. So I'm going to retreat here now, attacking the bishop, which was one of my plans. See how the plans kind of overlap. Now a rook and a minor piece and a couple of pawns in front. Okay, I'm going to remove the bishop because I don't like it. And now I think we just play solidly. Bring the knight back to a safe place. A couple of checking squares are possible. Just layering up the possibilities here. And white really is going to be on the ropes. If I move this pawn, there's a discovered attack by the queen, but the knight's also attacking that pawn now. Could come here, propose a trade of queens. Queen here is a possibility actually. Should probably defend against that. It might move my knight back there if I get the chance. Okay. Right, now if I grab this pawn, the knight's actually defending that square. So that's my only worry really. But now I get to push e5, e4 maybe. Okay, that doesn't bother me. This is push e6, you think? Queen is defending. Okay, so let's play the knight here instead. So I'm now looking at a knight fork on king and rook. See if my opponent spots that. Okay, so now he's going to lose his rook. Now I can pre-move the rook capture because I know the king has to move. And it's going to be all over. The a pawn's going to come charging up now. I've got a decent pawn structure. And I don't think white can checkmate me with just a queen. So he can resign now with dignity, I think. I would. Some people have this philosophy that you should never resign. Okay, let's take free stuff. Can defend the knight with my queen. Okay, it's resigned now. Fair enough. Okay. So the board's gone pale because of the because I made a move. Okay, so we have a London system. This is the accelerated London system. The normal London system would be knight out first and then bishop. But okay, there we go. And I'm playing my setup, he's playing his. No surprises at all here. And now I launch c5. If you're ever playing against the London, this is a very, very typical move. It's like the Sicilian, but very much delayed, attacking this central pawn. Because white's kind of depending on this pawn pyramid being kind of safe and solid. So here I decide to push. The bishop now goes back to an unusual square where it really has no options. I mean, the only square it can move to is back here, which is guarded by the pawn. So I think I would have moved it back here. Now bishop out, pushes a pawn, defend. Knight comes in, knight comes in. Trade pawns, keeping the bishop locked in. But at least now this bishop does have... He's got an extra square anyway there. And now I decide to take out the knight because I judged that his knight is more active than my bishop. Now he doubles his pawn, so see how weak his pawn's got at the end after his pawn structure fell apart, right? So he missed that he had a hanging pawn. This is very common below 1000, missing hanging pieces. Queen moves. Now I don't want to take out that bishop because that bishop's rubbish. Right, so resist the urge to capture just because something can be captured. You have to ask, would capturing this piece or this trade strengthen or weaken my position? Here I think it would weaken me, so I decide to finish development instead. Rook now attacks, I grab a free pawn. Because the rook move undefended a pawn. And that's what you get, and that's just a blunder. Rook moves onto the open file, but he didn't check, he didn't do the the sanity check. You grab the piece and just hover it and say, if my piece goes here, you've got 7 minutes on the clock. Oh, there's a bishop, right? So you don't do that. No, bishop takes, queen takes. Now I attack the queen with the fork on the bishop again. He misses it, and now I miss capturing the blooming queen. But I get a free bishop. Okay, so it would have been, I'd have won a queen for a rook, a queen and a bishop for a rook. So totally winning. Now I move back, and he spots the threat, but I grab an extra pawn, right? This double pawn has got no defenders. No pawns can defend it, and there's no pieces around. Propose a trade of knights. He declines the trade and kicks my knight instead, missing the fact that he's got a hanging piece. Come back, attack the bishop, take the bishop out. Double the pawns again, isolate this fella, and it's going to be all over by the shouting. Bring my knight back to a protected square, grab a pawn, bring my knight back out to the protected square, go in with a fork, grab a free rook, grab a free pawn. Right. When you look at it like this, it seems very, very straightforward, but the reason it's straightforward is my opponent started in a very solid manner, right? But missed a bunch of hanging pieces. And that is the basic chess discipline that you've got to get your head round in order to get beyond this kind of 600, 700, 800 level. Got to stop hanging pieces unnecessarily. So give yourself enough time. What was this? This was a 10-minute game. I think if you are hanging pieces like that, the obvious one-move blunders, you shouldn't be playing 10 minutes. If you can't protect your pieces in 10 minutes. Play 45-minute games, play 30-minute games, play 15 plus 10. Because that means you know you've got that 10 seconds on every single move, right, that's given to you, which is enough time to do the sanity check on every move. But all in all, decent instructive game. I hope it's been useful for you. If you're around that 600, 700 mark, 500, hope you've picked up a few ideas. But bottom line is always going to be, you've got to have the discipline in place. You've got to work on that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.